Joining us now is Brad Polumbo, the Deputy Opinion Contributors Editor for the Washington Examiner. So, Brad, going into tonight, it seems like once again it's Sanders and Buttigieg at the top of the ticket. That seems to be kind of what's the repeat of what we saw in Iowa a little bit. Is that what we should suspect moving forward from now on?
No, it's not. I think you are absolutely right to say that we do expect to have Pete Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders at the top again in New Hampshire after they both were successful in Iowa. But after we leave New Hampshire and we head towards South Carolina and we head towards Nevada and then we head into Super Tuesday, the demographics of the states change, and so do the polling and the calculus. So you should not expect Pete Buttigieg to maintain this level of success beyond New Hampshire unless he gets a serious bump in the polls, especially with black voters. And barring anything like that, when we head into South Carolina, we're looking at people like Tom Steyer and Joe Biden coming in and making a splash. And all of a sudden, things don't look the same with these two at the top.
Yeah, and I think that's why Joe Biden is actually moving ahead to South Carolina. It's a little bit more diverse of a demographic that he hopes he can capitalize on, especially moving into Super Tuesday. And I think that's really the date that the Biden campaign is looking forward to. It's more of, more states, a lot more moderate states too, I think, for that matter, a little bit more diverse when it comes to the demographics. Are these early losses, do they really mean too much for someone like the Biden campaign, or am I right to say that they are looking ahead to something like Super Tuesday?
Well, they are looking ahead, for sure, but these early losses do mean a lot because they tell us a lot about the confidence that people have in Joe Biden. So the whole issue with Joe Biden's campaign around has been an issue of confidence, right? People look at him thus far in the primary and they see a candidate who looks old, who looks tired, who mixes up his words, who doesn't seem to be as sharp as he once was. And then when you start with a big, terrible defeat in Iowa, and you're looking like you're not going to succeed in New Hampshire either, you start to see donors and supporters jump to other ships and to other moderate candidates like Amy Klobuchar. So I think that Biden does certainly hope that things will turn around in South Carolina, but there's a certain point where you reach so much bad momentum that it becomes too late. And Super Tuesday might be too far away for Biden.
Even in some voters in New Hampshire, we've heard them say that Joe Biden was supposed to be the electable one, the one who would most likely be able to go head-to-head with Trump. And then you see, for example, how he fared in Iowa, New Hampshire, and they see that lack of confidence and say, maybe he's not as electable as we once thought. And this comes at a time, too, where another moderate candidate, Amy Klobuchar, is kind of surging in the polls once again. She's coming off a strong debate performance. Is her momentum real, and does she maybe see a slot to kind of fill in for where Joe Biden is lacking?
Well, I think the electability question about Joe Biden is an important one, but it would be wrong to read too much into the Iowa and New Hampshire results as far as applying them to Joe Biden's successes against Trump, because the primary electorate in states like Iowa and New Hampshire is a small group of that's to the left of the average voter, and it is not representative of the demographics of America at large. So I don't think that it really tells us a lot about how Joe Biden would fare in a general election against Trump, that he struggled in these states, in these primaries. But I think that it does tell us that we've seen Amy Klobuchar picking up points. It does tell us that there are moderate voters in these states who aren't impressed by Joe Biden so far. And if that continues to be a trend, then either someone like Amy Klobuchar or someone like Pete Buttigieg or even Mike Bloomberg coming in hot on Super Tuesday is going to have to pick up the moderate lane of this primary to try to keep Bernie Sanders from getting the nomination.
And you bring up Mike Bloomberg, and it's a little bit of an interesting kind of phenomenon to me a little bit. Today, for example, we see him kind of facing backlash for a resurfaced video regarding his stop and frisk policies back in the day. He's kind of, he hasn't appeared on a debate stage, which I think is a little bit telling because, a lot of people will say Tom Steyer kind of bought himself onto the debate stage. Michael Bloomberg, there's no reason to suggest that he couldn't have done the same thing, but we do see him climbing in some polls right now. What is kind of behind the surge right now for Michael Bloomberg?
Billions of dollars is what's behind the surge. So what we've seen is Michael Bloomberg is trying a completely unorthodox campaign strategy where he's just completely ignoring the first four states. And he's going straight to Super Tuesday, which is in early March. You've got a bunch of states on the same day. He has poured 10 times, 20 times more. So many millions of dollars into television advertising in these Super Tuesday states that he's banking on there not being a clear nominee after the first four contests are over and him swooping in, cleaning up on Super Tuesday and announcing his late arrival.
And I think actually he's spent more on TV ads than all the other candidates combined, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I've seen those charts where, I mean, you just see the bar chart of his just through the roof, and the other candidates, I mean, they look like a fraction compared to anything else. So it'll be interesting to see by the end of the night what the results are. I'm sure we'll have you back in the future to kind of break it down for us once again. But Brad Polumbo, thank you very much for joining us.